student I'm testing, and I had a kid just like turning around, like, and just like looking, everything, touching, like not willing to just sit there work. Like you tell them you need to get going, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and then if it becomes excessive, document it. If it becomes excessive, that's when you might want to call me. Yeah.
And I have one student that is an explain or paraphrase directions for clarity, and I have 4 students.
Right. So I think, in my mind, that kid will have to be right.
And do I go ask him? You need a paraphrase?
I would keep that kid separate, right? Read the directions 2 times to everybody, and then go over to that kid and get down in their ear and explain paraphrase. Yeah. All right. Test items may be read aloud to students if this accommodation is clearly specified in their plan. Follow the guidelines below. Read all test items exactly as they are printed. Test items may not be explained, translated, or interpreted. The read aloud accommodation is not a substitute for the student interacting with their text. Rather, it is simply a means of facilitating students' access to the test. Therefore, the student should read along as the test items are being read. While oral reading of test questions is a standard accommodation, oral reading of passages is conditional. We talked about that. Okay, this is if you have to read the test questions, which hopefully you won't have to do this, but just in case, all text must be read word for word. You cannot help the kid out in any way, including meaning of words or intent of the test items. You may not rearrange the order of the text. Just read it as it's written, that's all, okay? Instruct the kids to follow along. It is permissible to read text that's in tables, charts, and graphs. So if there's text on the page in the question, you can read it. If it's a photo caption, you can read it. Each test item may be read twice. If you end up having to read test items, I say read them twice. Okay? Just read them all twice. Test items include the question and the answer choices, so you read both. Test items may also be read twice during conditional read aloud accommodations, but reading passages can only be read once. Caution must be taken to minimize the impact of inflection, word emphasis, or reading style. Voice inflection can clue students into the correct response or make answer choices more confusing. Read all test items at a normal pace and a normal voice. All right, for ELA, for standard read aloud accommodation, read the test items only. Do not read the passages or describe any pictures that accompany. Test items may be read twice, but remember we're just going to read them twice. Includes the answer choices. For a conditional read aloud, read the passage first, then read each of the test items. Test items may be read twice, but the reading passage may be read only once. For items that ask a question about a specific sentence or sentences, read the question first, then the sentence or sentences presented in the box, and then the 4 answer choices. Do you see why we want these kids to take this online?
Yes.
This is a lot. It blows another slide a lot.
So one other quick question. I just noticed the new kid looks like it's a deaf kid. So that's okay that I'm in there with him and he's on here.
The kid also doesn't have any signing capability.
That's right.
Oh.
At all.
So.
Specific guidelines for the English Language Arts Georgia Milestones. All right, we're going to go through these, but hopefully you won't have to pay attention to this because they'll be online. For items that ask a question about a specific sentence or short paragraph, read the question first, then the sentence or short paragraph presented inside a box, and then the 4 answer choices. Usually those questions, that's how they're formatted anyway, in that order. For items that include a sentence with 4 underlined words or phrases, one of which is misspelled, read the sentence only. Do not read the A, B, C, D letter designators. Take care to read the misspelled word as if it were spelled correctly. For items that present 4 different ways to punctuate a single sentence, do not read the 4 answer choices. Instead, read the question and then ask, is it A, B, C, or D? For items that present an incomplete sentence or paragraph and ask which of the 4 answer choices best completes the sentence or paragraph, read blank for the underlined space. For items that present a short paragraph with 4 or more numbered sentences, do not read the number designators in the paragraph. For items that ask about in punctuation, take care to read all answer choices in an even tone of voice and do not clue the student with your intonation. wind up in this situation for read aloud, you can refer to the read aloud guidelines on page 8 through 13. Same thing for science and social studies. It is permissible to read text in tables and charts, but not to interpret. Online accommodations. Some of you have online kids. Read aloud accommodations will be preset. So Galloway helped me. We went around to all the computers and entered in the codes that need to be on the computer. So we'll have to specify which computers you get, because there's either the read aloud code or the no accommodation code. Okay, and we'll have to make sure you have headphones if it's a read aloud. Students who are eligible for read aloud accommodation should be administered the text to speech. Examiners must read the script to all students, including students to read aloud accommodation. So no matter what, you are going to read from your manual, okay, your directions. Examiners should tell these students to place their headphones on and start the text to speech after they have completed the practice questions and have had an opportunity to ask any questions related to starting the assessment. Examiners should instruct these students to use headphones for the practice questions, and after completing them, to remove their headphones to hear final instructions or to have the opportunity to ask questions. So it's just like the paper pencil version, where they always give you like 2 practice questions. They have the same opportunity online. So they'll put the headphones on, walk through the practice questions, and then take them off. You finish reading, then they start their test. Small group and online schedule. Schedule will remain the same for online and paper pencil administration. Pick up students prior to 8:15. Testing will begin at 8:30 following the announcement. Make sure you have a clock or a timer in your room so you can keep up with the time. I used to always kind of tell the kids, keep them updated, give them 10-minute increments maybe. Not to stress them out, but just so that they're aware.
Are we releasing right after everybody's done?
Yeah, we'll wait till everyone's done, which is another reason why I want everyone to start at 8:30, so people, because some of us are going to have to wait. I mean, we're going to have to wait because someone's in your room or someone's got your kid.
But also with double time and extended time, and you got kids who are going to the bathroom, you got to give them that time back.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, so when kids go to the bathroom, you have to give them back that time?
Yeah, we discussed that yesterday, but document in your incident notes, your log, the time that they left, the time they come back, and if they need it, you give it to them at the end. Alright, we're getting there, 42 out of 57. Alright, we're going to breeze through this, we talked about it yesterday. Irregularities, validations, these are circumstances that depart from standard testing.
Ms. Stansfield, please ring the front office. Ms. Stansfield.
Stansfield?
Okay.
I'm in the media center in the accommodations in service.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Just check with me when you're done.
Okay, we're wrapping up soon. All right, irregularities that significantly affect student performances or compromise the integrity of the test. That can result in invalidation. We don't want that to happen. Improper administration of testing accommodations are the most common reason for testing irregularities and invalidations. So that's why we need to make sure everyone is really clear on what the accommodations mean and what the accommodations, which ones your students have to have. Here's some examples of irregularities. Examinee was given access to test questions or prompts prior to testing. Examiner or other personnel copied or reproduced or distributed the materials. Test examiner provided answers to the examinee or interruptions in the administration schedule. Examples, or more examples. Tested examiner or other personnel failed to follow the directions. Examinee's test booklet, answer sheets, or GAA portfolio entries are lost. Test examiner failed to provide examinee with a documented accommodation, or gave them an accommodation that's not documented. Participation and validation. Federal regulations stipulate that when inappropriate accommodations are used, students may not be considered participants in accountability determinations. In addition to irregularities and invalidations, systems will be required to code participation and validations for students who receive conditional accommodations. In the EOG, which is end of grade test, a potential invalidation occurs when a student receives
Ms. Espinoza, if you're in the building,
additional accommodations
please ring the front office.
of reading passages or a calculator. All right, so
Ms.
what
Espinoza
has
or
to
Ms.
happen
Hawkins?
if there is an irregularity is
Miss Lewis, Miss Espinoza left early today.
She's not here to that one.
got it. All right, examiner must notify the principal and the test coordinator of the incident. So if anything happens, remember I told you guys just flip your walkies on, call me, or you can call the front office, and someone will come to you. Okay. The test coordinator then I'd have to call the district test coordinator. We'd have to complete written statements that are very detailed from all parties involved, follow up on the details, and then follow district procedures regarding the alleged misconduct. I'll let you all read through the characteristics of a quality investigation. Any questions? Irregularities must be handled and reported immediately. Here's some examples. Kid gets the wrong version of the test. They get the wrong accommodations. Cheating, students working in the wrong section. Testing procedures not being followed. Missing test materials. Breach of test security. I think for you all that are paper pencil, the best thing you can do is constantly monitor. Because I saw it happen so many times over the years where a teacher was just standing right in the front of the room for too long. And a kid worked either almost the whole test in the wrong section, and you know how it is nowadays, you can't tell them to erase it. Or the kid is like skipped a section on the answer sheet and got through maybe 20 questions that way. It's a shame when, if you had seen it, because when you walk around, you're not supposed to be looking at the test items, right? You can't analyze it and read it. So you're just constantly looking for section and the number, the question number. Make sure it matches the question and answer number on their answer document. That's what you're doing, is walking around checking for that constantly. Because if they just get to a couple in the wrong section, you can say, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, you need to adjust your bubbling. If you get past 4 or 5 bubbles and they're in the wrong, you gotta have to call me and we're gonna have to report it. And it'll be an irregularity. It would just be a shame for a kid's test to be invalidated, right? Then they can't retake it, they just lost an opportunity.
Can you like provide me the black piece of productive papers that have like less examination and
Unless, if they have it in their IEP, we could, but otherwise we can't. I wish we could. But we're not gonna have the I mean, as long as you're walking around, it's no big deal. And we are so restricted as to what we can do anyway. We can't be on the phone, we can't look at our email, we can't daydream. You might as well keep or else you'll go mentally crazy anyway. Keep yourself busy. All right, we went over this yesterday. Does anyone have any questions about the code of ethics from the PSC or the sanctions? Mr. Rusty, you'll get a copy of this and you'll have to sign off on it. All right, almost done. Breaches of professional ethics. Gives examinees access to test questions prior to testing, copies, reproduces, coaches during testing, makes the answers available to examinees, fails to follow security regulations for distribution and return of materials, uses secure test booklets for any purpose other than examination, participates, directs, aids, counsels, assists, encourages, or fails to report any prohibited acts. Before testing, make sure you review the manual, which I will send the regular manual to all of you. You can pick up your materials from me between 6:45 and 7:30. Remember not to leave them unattended. Keep them secure at all times. On the day of the test, greet students in a friendly manner. Make sure that every student has eaten breakfast. It should be just kind of a light tone that day. Some kids are really anxious. Never know what happened to them at home before they get there. Just keep it nice. Keep it easy going. Make sure they get their restroom breaks before 8. Remember, we're going to try to